before you do it. That's called personal accountability. All right. It's Friday, September 8th. I had to think about what month it is. Friday, September 8th, 2023. And let's have us a look-see here at today's action. Okay, let's see. So, it took me a minute, but I got my 3 for 3. And as you can see, I was up net in the range of 136 to 151. So, if we do some math here, some simple math, we experienced a little bit of slippage the other day. That was 100% not in our favor. And when I say we, you know I mean me. In this case, I had 3 trades on NQ, $5 a tick. My profit target is 9 ticks, which means that I would have had 135 pre-commission. Should have been my net results, but I ended up at anywhere between 145 and 160. That's what happens, boys and girls. When you get old, you have to blow things up and still get close to them to see what those little itty-bitty numbers are. So, anyway, the point to that is, over the course of 10 accounts, I got anywhere between 2 and 5 ticks of slippage in my favor. So, for anybody who bitches and complains about the copy or not getting exact entries and exits, it goes both ways. So, I'm just going to leave that one right there. It goes both ways. So, anyway, let's talk a little bit about trading psychology and mindset, because that is one of my favorite topics to talk about. And I'm about to go all Henry Ford on your asses. Y'all remember the saying by Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. I'm probably butchering the shit out of that, but you get the idea. I started selling Cutco knives when I was 18 years old, a freshman in college. Let me tell you how green I was. One day I got this letter in the mail. Let me also tell you how old I am in the same story. One day I got this letter in the mail, and it was from this Nigerian prince. And he was telling me how I was going to collect, I don't know, $17 million based on some sketchy bullshit. So, while I was not so naive that I actually believed this shit, this was the first time I had ever experienced the beautiful concept of the Nigerian scam. So that is an illustration as to how green I was when I was 18 years old, started selling Cutco knives. I remember this because I took this into my manager at the time, and I thought, my God, who buys this kind of stuff? I mean, whatever. And he, of course, explained to me the history of the Nigerian scam. The funny thing is, for you youthful folks out there, the idea of getting this in a paper format in an envelope with a stamp on it, not even an international stamp, mind you, this came from a U.S. Post office, postmarking. So anyway, the whole point to this is I was young, I was green, I was excited, I wanted to make a lot of money selling knives. It was awesome. The knives were freaking phenomenal. And I got super, super excited about this whole idea of making a whole lot of money selling knives, which I did pretty well. I was a manager for multiple years. I was actually 11 years with the company. I had the opportunity to open up Mexico for the company, had some pretty cool experiences along the way. In fact, all of my business-based fundamentals came from that experience. But one of the things that I started to get when I was a Cutco rep was all of this motivational stuff, right? So whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right? And I'm a little more seasoned now. And while I still actually believe that that is true, the only problem that I have with this is that giving somebody this statement does not give them any possible means of changing that belief. It just says, well, look, as a more mature, somewhat cynical sometimes, and a bit of a smartass, my interpretation of that statement, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way you're right, is if you believe you can't, you're fucked. So, anyway, no, that is absolutely not the case. But what this statement lacks, and what so much quote-unquote motivation lacks, is any means of making some sort of a shift that will be meaningful in your life. So let's apply this to the world of trading. Whether you think you can be a successful trader or you think you can't be a successful trader, either way you're right. Well, if I don't think I can be a successful trader, I have two options. Well, actually, I have three options. Quit, blow all my money, or change my belief. I opted for options A and B for a very, very long time. So I have decided that it's time to start working on and developing option C. Does this happen overnight? Absolutely not. But again, you've heard me talk about the stacks and the whole process of addressing, identifying, and changing your beliefs little by little. Now again, this is not an everyday process, which means that when I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about this a lot. I'm not just going to talk about it once. Repetition is important. And when it comes to addressing and identifying and changing your beliefs, repetition is beyond important. It's absolutely critical. And let me put it this way. If I developed a belief a week ago, I might be able to change that belief in a matter of 10 minutes of concerted effort. If I developed that belief a year ago, it's going to take a little bit more time than if I just developed this a few weeks ago. If I developed it 10 years ago, 25 years ago, or if you're ancient like me, in my childhood, 40 plus years ago, it's going to take a little bit longer to really get to the root of where these things come from. Because one of the things that I do in this process is I actually have to, I'm going to say verbalize. I do this in a written format, but I verbalize what these beliefs are that I have. So I posted one of my stacks here a couple of days ago. You can go in there, you can kind of see that process and how it works, but it was basically, what is the story you're telling yourself? What is your belief about this situation? And if it's the type of stack where we are attempting to create an alternate belief, it will actually go through the process of, well, what is it that you want? What is your desired result? And is that belief going to get you your desired result? If you think you can, or you think you can. If you believe you can, or you believe you can't. However you want to verbiage, whatever verbiage you like. Either way, you're right. So it nails this thing head on in a way that will give your subconscious mind alternatives. Okay? So when you determine what you want, is this story, is this belief going to get you what you want? And you have to acknowledge the fact that, in all likelihood, it's not. In fact, I have yet to come up with one of these and say, yeah, that belief is 100% going to get me what I want. Because this process revolves around some sort of a trigger, whether it be, irritation, anger, rage, whatever the case may be. When we're focused in on this type of a stack, this type of this part of the process, something happened that we're not interested in. And therefore, there's a belief associated with that. And after having done this for 2.5+ years, I'm starting to see the correlation between my beliefs and my outcomes. Great, it only took me until 50. So what does this mean? This means that I'm going to fast forward a little bit deeper into this process, and I'm going to say, this is what I want. Is this belief going to get me what I want? No, it's not. So what is an alternate belief that will get me what I want? And knowing what's going to come next, I am forcing myself to consciously write out or verbalize. You can do these things via like a voice-to-text sort of thing, and I don't know, some people find that to be more impactful. Verbalize an alternate belief that will, in fact, get you what you want. And then the next step is, what evidence do you have to support that story? If you have no evidence to support the story, you have gone through the process incorrectly. You need to establish an understanding that you go into this process with the expectation of finding an alternate story that you can show evidence towards. So if you do this once and you got a 25-year-old story, your subconscious is going to go, oh, that's cute. Isn't that just sweet and precious, right? But if you do this every day, for weeks, months, years at a time, they're not always going to be the same story, mind you. But a lot of times you're going to run into the same, alternative versions of the same story, just applied to whatever the situation is. And when you continue to show more and more and more evidence that the alternate story that will in fact get you what you want is true, your subconscious has no choice but to fall in line. But the subconscious doesn't want to do that, so the subconscious is going to fight you on this. The deeper seated the belief, the more the subconscious is going to fight you, which means that you might have some boomerang type effects as you start to go through this process. I will tell you, I've been doing some stuff that has been very, very aggressive in the realm of the subconscious, to include some hypnosis. And it's really interesting. Last week when I blew some accounts, I'm not blaming hypnosis. In fact, it's made a huge, huge difference. But when I look at the timing of when I started blowing all of these accounts, it was like 2.5 weeks into this process. I'm very aggressively making, I'm working through some pretty obviously deep stuff here. And my subconscious was fighting back. And the way that it does that is, well, quite frankly, you're going to do some things that are not necessarily beneficial to you, because the subconscious is going to drive actions that are going to confirm what it believes to be true. I believe that I will not be a successful trader. If that's that deep-seated belief, I shouldn't verbalize that out loud, I guess. But when that ends up being this thought process, your subconscious is going to drive your conscious mind and your body and your will to do things that support this idea that it does not want to let go of. And this is a point when you actually have to put up a fight. It's not always going to be easy, and there are certainly challenges to this process that I have experienced for years now. And what I have found is that you'll start to see like little steps of improvement, and then you kind of hit that critical level, and all of a sudden you have this major boomerang back. And in my humble opinion, that is when you're getting close to a breakthrough, because that is when the subconscious is basically pulling out all the stops, right? And if you can fight through that, and sometimes it is a test of will, but if you can fight through that and continue this process, that is when you're going to start to see significant improvements, okay? So all of that said, let's take a quick look at, again, those recent results. So today, 3 trades, 3 entries, 3 wins. I have been doing this for 3 days now, where I've committed to 3 trades only. And first day I went 3 for 3. Second day I went 2 for 3. Third day I went 3 for 3. I've taken 9 trades. I've had 8 wins, which is what? 89% win rate. Now, is that a sustainable win rate? Probably not. This is a very small sampling. But the point is that the actions that I'm taking are more disciplined. I am paying much closer attention. I'm much more engaged in the moment when I'm in my charts. And the net result of that is I am starting to see the results that I was seeing 6 months ago, when I started to slowly but surely see that improvement. And after a pretty aggressive step back last week, which is not the first time I've experienced this year, I think I can narrow it down to really a good 3 incidences starting in March that were just these aggressive, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing sort of thing. And each time has led to a little bit more of a breakthrough and a little bit more of a forward move. So while this is a very small sampling of what I know is possible, I am starting to see that trend upwards, and I'm fighting for that trend upwards. I am fighting through that willpower to get past that next level. Because I know that when I do, that's breakthrough time, and we'll start to see more and more positive movement in the things that I believe that I can do. Because If you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way you're right. I do believe, and I know deep down, that I can be a successful trader. How do I know that? Because I have stacked up so much fucking evidence that shows this. And when I look at it, those moments where I have faltered, those are the anomalies. But the interesting thing in the world of trading is those anomalies are significantly more powerful than all of that daily, slow but sure movement, but only in one sense, in the sense of the actual numbers. When you have a bad losing day, you have the potential to lose days, weeks, months worth of profits because of the dynamics of how bad those decisions can be and how bad you can let it go. But it's not because bad trades are more potent. Sometimes they are. It just depends on how you trade. But when you have those moments, it's not uncommon to wipe out a significant amount of progress. And I think the thing to remember is in a situation like this is it's not how much of your progress you have wiped out, but if you have 10 days of positive progress and 1 day of really, really bad progress, or taking that shift backwards, even if you wiped out all 10 days of those profits in that 1 day, you still only have 1 step back to your 10 steps forward. And again, this comes down to your beliefs and your perception of how you see these things. And if you look at it from that standpoint, you'll have a much, much easier time of pushing through these boundaries and getting to these turning points. So with that, it's Friday, a couple days before I get to start trading again, but I will be back in here shooting off some messages over the course of the next few days, or over the course of the weekend, and then we will be back to trading Monday morning. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate you all. I love you all. God bless. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon.